Here are 20 quick tips in Google Sheets that everybody should know. If you want to compare two lists to find out what's missing, you can do so with this formula. So for example, we have all of our cities here to the left, and we've already added the cities in column G, but we need to see which ones are missing. So we'll put equals filter, and we'll select the range for list 1, put a comma, not, open parentheses, COUNTIF, open parentheses. Then we'll select list 2, comma, select list 1 again. And once we press enter, we'll see the list of all the cities that are missing in list 2 that were present in list 1. If you want to quickly find the aggregate values for a specific range, just select that range, then go to the bottom right hand corner, and you can see the sum, the average, the minimum, the maximum, and the count without having to use a single formula. You can quickly apply the same formula to different cells using the fill handle. So for example, we have C divided by D to get the average, and in the bottom right hand corner of the cell, you'll see a blue dot. You can drag that to the right or drag that down, and it will apply that formula to the cells that you selected. And if you double click on it, it will apply the formula down all the way until it hits the first blank. So that's the manual way using the fill handle. But we can actually make this automated pretty easily. So instead we'll put equals C3 divided by D3. But instead of dragging it down like we did before, we're going to add some more formulas. So we'll put equals if, open parentheses, is blank, B3 colon B, close parentheses, comma, comma. We'll change C3 to C3 colon C, and D3 to D3 colon D. Then between equals and if, we'll add array formula. And now, based on that single formula, every single value is filled out until it hits that first blank. And once we add text to column B, that formula will go live. And once we add the amount sold and the quantities sold, that formula will automatically populate. You can quickly find trends over time with Sparkline. So I'll put equals Sparkline, and then put the values for the 3/4. And I can see exactly what's happening, whether it's increasing, decreasing, or somewhere in between. Sometimes we have the correct data, but instead of having it horizontally, we want it vertically instead. You can make this adjustment super easily using Transpose. So I'll put equals Transpose, then select the range, and now I have it stacked vertically instead of horizontally. It's super easy to find the average with the average formula, but if you have outliers, it can significantly skew your data. So instead of using average, you can put equals TRIMMEAN, select that same data range, then put a comma, and put whatever percent you want to exclude. So I'll put 0.2 for 20%, and now it's excluding the top 20% and bottom 20% of values and taking the average of the rest. So that gives us a better idea of what our average is without the outliers. If you have a list with a bunch of duplicates, you can easily find the unique values by using the formula equals unique, then selecting the range. And if you want to see how many times that value exists, you can do equals COUNTIF, select that range, and then put that value as the criterion. To make sure everything is included when you shift down the formula, you'll need to anchor in the range. And now you can just double click on that fill handle to find the count for each unique value. You can quickly find a correlated value with Xlookup. So we'll put equals Xlookup under country. We'll select the city drop down for the search key and select all the cities in the range for the lookup range. And then we'll select all the countries in the range for the result range. And now whenever I use the drop down to select a different city, the country will automatically populate. By default, whenever you shift down a formula, the cells that it's referencing will shift down with its new location. And this is by design, but if you're not careful, this can cause errors. For example, it says that New York doesn't exist in our range when it really does. And that's because when we shifted the formula down, the lookup range drops with it. So instead of the lookup range starting at D10, it's starting at D12 instead, and New York is out of range. So to avoid this, you can anchor in the range. You can use F4 as a hotkey, or you can put a $sign in front of every part that you don't want to change. So now when I drag in that formula that's anchored, all the ranges will stay the same, and the only thing that will move is the search key. You can easily see the edit history. For example, you can go to View, Show Formulas, and here you can see that we have a value instead of a formula. I can right click on that cell and see the edit history to see exactly what was replaced with what, all the way back to the beginning of the cell. And if something was on accident, you can simply copy that formula right there, and you can paste that in the cell and it's as good as new. Adding filters is super simple and very powerful. So all you have to do is select the range you want to filter, then go to your toolbar and click on the filter button, which looks like a little funnel. And now you can filter by whatever you want. So if I want to see just France, I can select just France. And if I want to go all the way down to the city level, I can do that as well. In this spreadsheet, we have Europa instead of Europe for the region. And we also have that within the formula. But we can fix this super easily by selecting the range, go to Edit, Find and Replace, find Europa, replace with Europe, also search within formulas, hit Replace All, and hit Done. So now all the Europas have changed to Europe, and it even worked in the formula as well. If I'm being honest, there's a ton of ways that you can join content together, but here are two ways that I use the most. So you can put equals join, then put the delimiter, and that's just what you want to join it with. So I'll put space dash space, and then I'll select the cells that I want to join. So now I have the city dash the country. And I can do the same exact thing but without the join formula. So I'll put equals C6, ampersand, which acts as a join. I'll put the delimiter, another ampersand, and then the cell I want to join with. And as you can see, it's the exact same. You can save a lot of time formatting by simply clicking on the cell or the range that has the formatting you want, clicking on the paintbrush, and then applying that to the range that you want to format. And the format will be an exact match. If you have cells that contain a bunch of formulas, but you don't want to have the formulas there, you can turn these into text by simply selecting the range, copying them, then right-clicking Paste Specials. You can use these hotkeys if you want, or click Values Only. And now if you look in the cells, instead of having a bunch of formulas, you have the values instead. So right here we have a bunch of data showing the amounts based off of the region, country, and city. And we have a chart based on this information in the Chart tab. But what if we want to drill into this information further? The easiest way is to add a slicer. And we can break this up by region, for example. And this works just like a filter. So if I want to see the breakdown between North America, I can see that. And if I want to see just Europe, I can see that as well. Or if I wanted to see multiple options like Europe and North America, I can do that too. We can split a single cell into multiple cells based off of a delimiter. So we can put equals split, select the text, and then put the delimiter we want to split on. And now both the first part and the second part are in different cells. You can easily find the start of the month or the end of the month for any given date using end of month. So for example, for start of month, you can put equals end of month, today, comma, -1 plus 1. So I will find the last day of last month and then add 1 to it to find the first day of this month. And then for end of month, you can just simply put E of month today, comma 0, and that will give you the end of the month. Having a block of dates can be pretty confusing to figure out where each week starts and ends, but you can easily improve this with conditional formatting. So we'll go to Format Conditional Formatting. We'll use the drop down to select Custom Formula Is, then put equals is odd, open parentheses, week num, open parentheses, C3, close parentheses, close parentheses. Then we'll click Add Another Rule to duplicate it. We'll change odd to even and change that to a different color. Then we'll click Add Another Rule to duplicate it again. And this time we'll have equals is blank, open parentheses, C3. And for all these, the cell that you reference needs to be the first cell in the range. So I made that white, that way if it's blank, it'll be white. I'm gonna move that to the top, so that way it has priority. So now each week is separated by a different color, and if the cell is blank, it's white. But whenever a date gets added to that cell, it will automatically adjust to reflect the color of that week. So that's 20 quick tips in Google Sheets. Like and subscribe for more.